Hey gang, how are you? Kevin Goatee, Gutting the Sacred Cow. Here we are, brand new week, brand new episode. And this week, we've got Mo Mandel taking down Under Siege. That's right, Steven Seagal, Die Hard on a Boat, 1992, whatever. Erika Eleniak jumping out of a cake. We remember that. Wink, wink. Before we get to it, hey, right now, as I record this, it is 2 weeks until our live show. 2 weeks. Go to guttingthesacredcow.com right now to get your tickets. We do not have many left. I swear to you that is the case. It is socially distanced. You have to wear your mask inside the theater. We're watching The Karate Kid with Bill and Joanne from the morning show, and then a live episode right after that. But I am not kidding you. Only a few tickets remain. Get them now. Secondly, if you have not yet done so, yet again, another Amazon 5-star rating, 2 or 3 sentence review request for those of our new friends who've just joined the podcast. If you have not left us a rating on your podcast platform of choice, please do so. We love you for that. GTSC podcast on Twitter, and that's it. We're going to keep it simple this week. And now, without any further ado, here's Mo Mandel jumping aboard Under Siege. Take care.
Gather round, here's what I know. Just that this cow has got to go. I know some people kinda like it, yeah, it's trending right now. Yeah, that doesn't matter, cause we're gutting the sacred cow.
Is this the man who wrecked the buffet at the Harrow Club? Kevin Israel, name that film.
Nope.
Mo Mandel, name that film.
The man who wrecked the buffet at the Harrow Club?
Yes.
50 Shades of Grey.
Beverly Hills Cop.
Oh, so close.
Is this the man who
Missed it by
wrecked
that
the
much.
buffet? Thought that was an
Always
easy
one of those two films. No matter what the question is, it's always one of those two films.
Kevin Goatee, Kevin Israel, back with Gutting the Sacred Cow. How is it going, folks? We are here. First and foremost, thank you so much for telling your friends and subscribing to this podcast. And thank you for continuing to give us those 5-star ratings, 2 or 3 sentence reviews on the podcast platform of choice. Today, we are joined by fellow comedian Mo Mandel, hailing all the way out in Portland, Oregon. You know, Clyde Drexler's backyard. How you doing, Mo?
I'm doing great, man. I love that current reference, by the way. Clyde Drexler.
Yeah, I stopped watching the NBA in 2000, so that's as far as we get back.
I realize we're on Zoom right now, and I realize I have like this beard font. Do you notice that on my thing? There's like a little like outline of a beard.
I
so
see that.
Yeah, because I was playing poker with my buddies the other day, and we were like playing around with these stupid fonts because we're, almost 40 and we're essentially 12 years old. So I'm trying to get that thing off. Not that it doesn't look awesome.
We're working with it. It's making cinematic / podcast magic happen. Kevin Israel, how are you, sir?
Not too bad. Not too bad.
Yeah.
What's it been like 8 months now since we've been in a room together?
Yeah, exactly. 8 months. Was March. I missed that furry face of yours.
I know. I miss staring in the eyes of Nazi Germany.
Isn't it great? You get lost in those eyes like a sailor, shipwrecked and floating down the
They're
ocean.
deep blue and entrancing. Speaking of sailors.
Hey-o, we've got a film for you. Mo Mandel has chosen the first Steven Seagal film to appear in this podcast. And that
Really?
Yes.
And possibly the only.
That is insane. The man's made 798 films, all the same film. How is
because 791 wouldn't qualify. I take that back. One other would qualify, and that is Out for Justice, because that is, in fact, a crowd favorite. As you all know, our guests pick the films, but it must meet one of the 3 criteria: financial success, widely beloved, or critically acclaimed. And Seagal's films, really most of them, aren't meeting those criteria. But Mo has selected 1992's Under Siege, as everyone likes to call it, Die Hard on a Ship, a budget in 1992 of $12 million, bringing in a haul of $156.6 million. Now, in 2020 dollars, a $22.3 million budget, a haul of $291 million, his most successful film ever. Rotten Tomato. Sorry, IMDb. I'm getting ahead of myself. IMDb is a 1 through 10 scale with decimal points. Mo, what did Under Siege score in the old IMDb?
I'm gonna say 6. I don't feel like cinema fans really fully embrace Seagal as they shouldn't. So I would say an accurate 6.
Oh, shame on you. Out for Justice is cinema verite. Kevin Israel, what is your guess for this film?
Took my guess. So I am gonna go 6-3.
Six.
That's like the bullshit Price is Right.
Damn right it is.
$1. 6-5 is the
I'll
answer.
take it. I'll take the win.
Kevin
Fair
Israel,
enough.
you're going to go first on the Rotten Tomatoes, which is a 1 through 100 score. What did the critics give Under Siege?
52.
Mo.
Just trying to think, like at that time, I wonder if this was seen as very derivative of Die Hard at that time, or if they were like actually fooled by the fact that it was just on a boat. Had some good actors in it. I'm going to go 65. I think at the time it was seen as better.
Kevin Israel, you said what again?
52.
79.
What? The critics?
1-1.
9.
That's
Because it had Tommy Lee Jones in it in like his prime, you know? So it kind of tricked people a little bit.
Don't
And
forget the
Stevie
Busey. Don't you dare leave the Busey
you're right,
hanging.
Busey.
No, who could
Right.
forget Busey and Drag?
Mo, give me the audience score for Under Siege on Rotten Tomatoes.
90.
Kevin
Those
Israel.
movies that movie was huge, man.
Kevin Israel.
81.
62.
The critics scored it. And Rotten Tomatoes is a sham.
Dude, that is
And
bullshit. That's the only time that's ever happened on one of these fucking
Very
movies.
rare. It is very rare,
Especially this kind of movie.
I know.
Exactly. Usually it's like the critics are like, oh, the Rock movie 8, and the audience is like, I fucking love it.
And who
And
doesn't?
I'm one of
love
those people.
The
I
Rock?
love The Rock. I love
Who
The Rock.
doesn't?
Yeah.
Oh, the Rock is great.
Rewatch it again not too long ago in honor of Sean Connery, just to get my fix. Quotes. And this is my favorite one. I've said this since I saw the day this film came out. Get my pies out of the oven.
Yeah.
I have one rule. Well, actually two. I don't date musicians and I don't kill people. What are you going to do when you get $200 million in the bank? Buy the presidency? Look at Busey doing a Trump impression, guys. How did he know?
Prophetic.
Next one. Drown your own crew. They never loved me anyway. I bet they fucking love you now. He's in a gunfight right now. I'm going to have to take a message. I love cheesy 90s dialogue. Last one. You're in the Navy. It's not just a job. It's an adventure.
Fuck mine. You son of a bitch.
Come on.
Seagal has a great comeback there too, because when she says, I don't kill people and I don't date musicians, and later on when she kills somebody, goes, next you're gonna be dating musicians.
Yeah.
Like, ooh, nice call.
You got to really follow the dialogue to keep up with the humor.
Yeah,
Under
yeah, yeah.
Siege.
Kevin, any other quotes that I left for you? If
I mean, you really pulled all the meat from the bone.
Sorry.
I just have 2 left. One, which made me a little uncomfortable because they were saying it to a black guy, was, "Hey, cue ball, show us your moves."
That was gonna say that was exactly one of the most cringeworthy things ever. As soon as a black guy walks in the room, he's like, "Hey, do a little dance."
Dance
It's
for
just
us.
This is the most racist, weird thing. And he almost
Hello, my
takes on-
baby. Hello, my honey. Hello, my ragtime
Exactly.
gal.
And Seagal almost takes
Give us
on
some
like
soft
a
shoe.
yeah, he takes on like almost like his version of a black voice. Where he's like, "Hey, cue ball, show me some moves.
Well,
Show me some moves, Jack."
The
Like,
funny
it's
thing
just
about that
really
scene
weird.
is they show Seagal starting to dance with him, and it looks so awkward that when it goes back to him, he's just like leaning up against the wall. The director was probably like, "No, just
And
stand there."
Cue ball didn't seem like he could dance either. Like he was like
it was horrible.
Like
It
he
was
walked in
bad.
the room and he was like, "I don't dance. I always tell you that I don't dance. Why do you always ask me to do moves?" And he's like,
Cue
"Come on,
ball said,
Cue ball."
Cue ball said, listen, I did not make the cut in Breaking 1 or Breaking 2. What makes you think I can do it here?
Boogaloo. Thank you.
Yeah. Turbo Ozone, way better than me.
And the follow up to that, you want to see my moves? And then he rapily kisses, who clearly did not want to kiss him.
Well,
interesting. I'm going to
have-
fight you on that. I'm going to fight you on that, but I'll save that for my opening salvo.
Mo, any quotes that stood out to you, sir?
Yeah, well, there's one good one where he it's after he kills the main bad guy, Tommy Lee Jones. They ADR in a line. I wrote it down because like it was clearly like later on they're like, oh, we need like him to say like a one-liner, and he didn't say it. So as he's walking off, he says, what does he say? He goes something like don't lose. What does he say? I don't know. Let freedom reign or some shit like that, where he didn't say it in the thing. So you just see him walk off, and when the camera's behind him, you just hear "Let freedom reign" something, and you're just like, clearly they were watching like, Seagal doesn't really have enough charm or delivery to hit it in the moment. But
If we're going with comedy, if we're going with the whole Die Hard on a boat allegory, we can't say yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker. So let's find something as close to that, but with nationalism. Go.
Yeah, I just think it's funny because like he clearly isn't funny, Seagal. So when they try to do the one-liners, they always fall short. And then a lot of times you can tell they're having to kind of add them in post.
And I will tell you one of the funniest stories I've ever heard about Steven Seagal. That's a 10 on a 1 through 10, but it's not an intentional 10. It's an unintentional 10. One gal was on Stern years ago and said she was with Seagal, and he comes out of a room. He goes, I just read the greatest script ever. And she goes, no kidding. Who wrote it? And he goes, I did.
I heard that.
How great is that?
The greatest thing you could see, and Seagal, you should, if you're listening, YouTube this. It's Steven Seagal's energy drink. There is a YouTube video of him making like what seems like a homemade commercial for an energy drink, and it's just fucking unbelievable. The commercial involves like him creepily shoving some girl into a pool that he's filled up with his energy drink, and it's just so weird, man. But it's like a real commercial. Like clearly, like some dude in Yugoslavia thought he could launch this line, and Seagal's there in the commercial. It's really a good time.
Got to pay the rent.
He probably is going to be the third guy to enter the COVID vaccine into the market. You watch. 5 fun facts. The reason Seagal cut off his signature ponytail is that the Navy forbids more than 4 inches of hair. Fun fact. Erika Eleniak was actually Miss July 89 in Playboy. Also, the same Playboy that Kevin McAllister finds in Buzz's room in Home Alone.
Wow.
Right?
That is tangential.
Who claimed, well, she did go for it. I'll give you, 2 of the 3 you can get. Give me the 3 actresses in general, who went for the role of Miss July, but turned down the role because of Steven Seagal's casting couch advances. 2 super huge names in the early 90s. I'll even give you a bigger hint. They were in Playboy too.
Pam Anderson.
1.
The other
Courtney
one.
Cox?
No.
No, what's her name? She had the reality show. She died of the overdose.
Oh, fuck.
Blonde with bigger
Anna
boobs
Nicole
than Pam
Smith?
Anderson.
No,
Yeah.
No. The answer, Jenny McCarthy.
Oh, wow.
That's
Wait a minute. So you're telling me that at the time he made inappropriate advances on both of them, and they still just went on with the film?
And Portia de Rossi was the third one. Yes. They all went for it, and they all brought him in for auditions. He goes, well, you have to do this. And they all had the same story. Apparently, according on the internet, allegedly, they all had the same exact story. So if it walks like a duck and quacks like a duck.
Wait, so what did he tell them they had to? I mean, obviously we know.
You have to fuck to pretty much to get this part.
All right.
Dude, that's so funny. Like, and that was when? What year? Like 96 or something?
No. This came out in 92. So 91, they went.
So it still took another like 30 years for the Me Too movement. Like, even though shit like that was happening rampantly, they were like,
Harvey Weinstein wasn't jerking off in the plants yet. This is how pre-Me Too this was.
Yeah, he was like dry humping cactuses. Like he was just starting out.
Number 4, Steven Seagal is only in the film for a scant 41 minutes.
That seems surprising. I feel like he's basically the whole movie.
I got to say, it's probably was a good decision by the editors.
Number 5, video stores had to constantly replace their VHS copies as the Erika Eleniak striptease scene was frequently paused and rewound, causing tapes to break. And I will say, in the Goatee household, that was in the top 3 most paused scenes as I learned to find myself as a youth.
I have to say, I remember that scene being much longer than it was.
Yeah, it's very quick. It is very quick. Although her breastises are like pretty astounding still.
Well, they're
They hold up.
giant, and I think when she was in Playboy, she didn't have those fake boobs.
Oh, that's some deep.
They're
that's some
real.
deep dark trivia.
Real nice.
Yeah.
Well, you know why you think of it as being longer is because they used it in the trailer. I remember, like they definitely used her coming out of the cake in the trailer.
Yeah.
So,
But she didn't even come out of a cake, did she?
She 100% did. Oh, yeah.
she
She
was
did come out of
knocked
the cake.
out.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Well, listen, apparently Mo is all coked up like Seagal on the casting couch, ready to go and try and take down Under Siege. So I don't want to hold this man back. Kevin Israel, let's have Mo gut the sacred cow.
All right, so I have to admit, though, I'm a little nervous because I thought I really like I said, I'm a huge action movie guy. The Rock, I fucking love. Van Damme, I love. Seagal, I've always like been just not on board with, and I really thought I fucking hated this movie. And then I watched it again last night, much to the chagrin of my wife, who I forced to watch most of it with me. And I was like, it's not as bad as I thought. It pretty much, my complaints completely come to Seagal and his absolute lack of being a compelling character. He's not a human being. Every scene with Seagal, he seems like a fucking alien in this movie. You know, they keep trying to make it seem like, okay, he walks in at first, he just sort of has this weird voice that makes no sense. His accent was like, hey, Joey, what's the haps, man? Hey, what's going on? And then everyone's just sort of like, ha, ha, ha. Like, everybody always, like, laughs at everything he says. He's like, the shit wasn't funny at all, and it was weird, and he's dressed, like, all in black, like a ninja for some reason. It's just perpetually odd, right? He doesn't seem like a real guy, and he never is actually able to connect like a human being. And you see it especially in the scenes with the love interest where he's like instantly just so irritated by her presence. He actually physically picks her up and slams her into a locker, like I think twice, and locks her in. And then in classic early 90s fucking misogynistic fashion, she's crying her eyes out. Is she scared of the terrorists? Is she scared of claustrophobia? No. She says, I hate being alone. It's just like, Jesus. And he just has this, like, immediately she goes to his little sister who he just can't stand. And that really, like, just throws you off because, like, if it was a better movie, if he was a better leading man, like, why isn't there any romantic tension there? Why isn't there any story there? Why don't we see anything building? It's just sort of her being a complete pain in the ass. Him just being like, this fucking annoying bitch the whole time he can't stand her. And then at the end, they're like, he has to kiss her because it's just kind of weird if he doesn't, you know? But in all of his movies, there's like a complete lack of like sexual chemistry that he ever has with any of the other actresses, which is kind of astounding to hear that he's also this much of a casting couch kind of scumbag, because it really seems like he's just like couldn't give a fuck about this woman. You know, she's like, at one point he literally just picks her up and like puts her on top of like a dresser, like something that's just in the way, and he has to just get her the fuck out of there. So that's my main concern with the film, was that like they're just like what could be a really, you know, good love story. And not that I'm the action movie guy who needs to have a love story, but it just sort of like, it's there. She's a playmate. At one point, he's literally putting a condom on a piece of the missile.
Yep.
And he's got a playmate next to her. He makes no sexual innuendo or joke at all. It's just completely like he doesn't even connect the dots, you know? Not that he has to say
the same exact thing. She didn't even ask, what are you doing?
No, she didn't ask what you're doing. She's just like, oh, okay, he's taking apart a nuclear missile. Makes sense. He pulls out a Trojan.
Let me ask you boys this. Why would he need a condom on a ship full of dudes unless he's gay?
I mean, everything about this movie would imply that he was gay, and then he kisses her at the end. I mean, there's just so many scenes where he seems gay, where he's just sort of like, she's like naked, and not that he has to perv out, but he's just sort of like what the fuck are you doing here, beautiful naked woman? Get the fuck out of here. You know, like
Yeah.
it just like she's just, there's so many situations that should be kind of sexual or at least, you know, tension building. And he's just sort of like, ugh, naked woman, ugh, away. I'm trying to do my fucking cook thing.
He could have looked at her and goes, yeah, you know what? A regular for a missile. I'm a Magnum.
I mean, just something, you know,
Some
just
shitty line.
something. And then, okay, another thing that I'm on the fence about this one, like Gary Busey dressing up in drag, like it's kind of refreshing to have something so just avant-garde and weird in an action movie, but it just makes no sense.
None.
Zero. It's like Gary Busey wanted to go, like he was like, a pretentious actor from theater school and was like, look, I'm going to do this fucking schlock fest, but like, let me do like some weird shit where I dress up in drag or something like that. Because logically, it makes no sense for him to do that. I mean, he's on his way to go get the captain to shoot him, but he's like, I should probably put on a dress while I do that and blow kisses at the other sailors. I mean, it's just completely illogical.
It's funny that you say that.
Or is it?
When that scene happened and he went up to the captain's quarters, I was like, oh, that's right. He needed that costume to hide something in there. I thought he was hiding something. And then he just pulls out the little pistol. I was like, oh, guess not.
Right. I know. I had the
Gary
same
just wanted
thing
to
too.
dress up as a woman.
Yeah, I thought he was like, I thought he was trying to distract the guys or something like that. But no, there was no reason to do it. It was, you know, it's an odd thing to want to do. You're about to, you know, hijack a ship, steal nuclear bombs. You're like, wait, let's try out some drag for a bit, you know, just on my way to do that. It just really just seemed like a weird thing to shoehorn in.
With huge tits too, nonetheless.
Yeah, I mean, but you know, I mean, he's got
By
the
the way,
figure for it.
Not the first time that Gary Busey willingly put on female clothes and makeup. That's definitely not the first time.
No, I think that was his idea.
It was. It actually was in the. It was in the note. It was in research. That was his idea. Do it straight and then do it as a woman. And he kind of goes, "Yeah, we're going to go like this." And the director goes, "All right, we're going to do it like this." And that was.
That's so funny. That's
Prince.
true because I'm not surprised to hear that because I really was like, that seems like something a pretentious actor wanted to do to like make something more of the role. And he does do a good job with the role, but that part is crazy. Another great part that is completely unnecessary that's in the film is right when they're taking it over, you see these guys rappelling down from like the top deck and there's these guards below. So you figure the guys are going to rappel down and like surprise them. But instead, as they're rappelling down, other bad guys just come and shoot the guards, and then the guys rappel down right there.
Right.
Like, so it was like, well, why the fuck did you just like go down the back staircase? That was completely unnecessary.
Right.
That threw me off a little bit.
Because rappelling is awesome.
Rappelling is awesome.
Sure
Another problem with the plot is Seagal's big, like, you know, the idea is that he's a disgraced military officer or something like that. But because his platoon or whatever had been ambushed in fucking Panama. They all died in the Panama War. Did anyone even die in that war? I mean, I don't even think that was like a real thing.
I think they were supposed to be like a special. He was a Navy SEAL, and he's supposed to be like a special ops crew. And I think there was some. There were in the 80s, in the mid to late 80s, there was some violence in Panama.
Well, there was like
Noriega, the whole Noriega thing, right?
I know, but that's just I don't know. It's just such an undramatic.
I think now to us,
bring up.
We're so far removed from it, and we've been through so many bigger battles in the Middle East. Panama seems like something, but I think at the time it probably made more sense.
I don't know. My feeling is I'm like, dude, fucking really? You couldn't come up with a better thing? Like they were the one guys who died in Panama or whatever. Maybe I'm wrong, but I mean, I was alive at that time. I remember even as a kid being like, this war is pretty weak.
I give it a 4 on the war
I give
scale.
it a 4. Yeah, I mean, another thing that's annoying is that he knows how to disarm a nuclear bomb in some very complex way that makes no. Like at one point, he's like heating. It looks like he's making pasta, and he's letting the steam go up into the nuclear warhead. He's taking it off. You're like, there's no reason he would know how to do that. Like, it just doesn't make any sense, you know. And I know that's like nitpicking, but it just sort of goes to my overall thing that his character is just sort of like an alien. Like he just doesn't seem like why couldn't he like have to figure out how to do it or like, you know, interact with a guy who's a scientist or, you know, there's like so many like ways they could build tension and make it more interesting. Instead, he's just sort of like, I'm an automaton. I just do everything. My hair is always perfectly slicked back like Pat Riley. And I got this annoying woman next to me that I'm tolerating. And I think he kills literally every single person on the boat too. One other guy gets killed by somebody else, but I think he literally kills about 70 people during this movie. So I guess that's why he couldn't focus on the woman. He had to really focus on the task at hand. So basically, I would say this: it's actually a very compelling movie with just like a guy who brings it completely down. Like the star not only apparently was super molesty during the casting process, but just drops it into kind of like schlock action, when actually with the better actor and someone who was actually like a human, it could have actually been like a fucking great movie. Because you had the best villains that you've had in like pretty much any action movie. Tommy Lee Jones and Gary Busey are like fucking incredible.
Yeah, they were definitely good in this film. It helped elevate. In fact, another fun fact, Andrew Davis, who directed this film, also did a little film a year later called The Fugitive. And when Harrison Ford watched Under Siege, he goes, yep, because they were still trying to figure out who was going to direct it. He goes, yep, that's my guy based on this film.
Wow. All right. So he apparently was convinced.
That's fascinating.
Isn't it?
Never guessed that.
Well, why would you?
It is a little unclear, though, what Tommy Lee Jones is. His character's journey is kind of weird because basically it starts out in this interesting way where you think they're revolutionaries, and he has that great scene on the phone where he's sort of like pretending to be crazy, and the guys are like, oh, he's lost it. Then you realize, oh, no, this is actually all about money. But then when the money's off the table, then he just becomes crazy again, and he's going to launch all the missiles. And he says to him, he goes, he's launched missiles at Honolulu. He goes, sit back and watch the world burn down. It's like, I mean, you're blowing up Honolulu. I mean, the world's going to be all right. I mean, like, some tourists are going to get fucked up. I mean, it's going to be a bad day, but like the world can survive Honolulu taking a shot.
I mean, the worst thing that you did was just wipe off pretty much everyone's first choice on their destination for honeymoons. Other than that, it's not going to be the worst thing. Oh,
yeah,
and
you
coffee.
blew up a lot of guys who have gone to taken their honeymoons on timeshares. A lot of those guys got taken out. A lot of Groupon holidays got taken out. But you also you also just destroyed the macadamia nut market. So good on you, Tommy. Which isn't even one of the top 3 nuts, I would say. So I think
no, not even close. If you're not talking pecans, I don't want to talk to you. All right, move along, guys.
So yeah, I mean that's pretty much where. There's just like little moments with Seagal that are just kind of like irritate me. Like when he's on the phone with that military phone, she goes, "What is that?" Instead of just being like, "I'm calling the military," he goes, "It's an MX-20." Something, and it's like she didn't need to know the fucking, like, you don't have to show off. It's so obnoxious. You know what I mean? Like, just to say I'm calling for help.
But further to that, what did she think it was? He's clearly putting on like a headphone. He's about to talk. It's obvious what it is. It's not like he pulled out like a space shuttle or something. Was like, oh, we're gonna use this. It's a fucking phone. It was obviously a phone.
They're doubling down on dumb blonde with her like the whole time.
Well,
she is just like complete idiot.
Also in the notes, he was very much having a female companion like this in the movie, and he was very against that idea, and that's why he gives rancor told her.
Interesting. Why? Do you know why he said he was against it?
No, I don't. Sorry, the buck stops here, and I dropped the ball.
It's interesting because he really does seem to present it. Like, I think he's such a not good actor that all of that actually comes out in his character. But the grossest line is, you quoted it in one of the best lines of the one-liners, is they're in a gunfight, and because she's a woman with a thing, she immediately becomes his secretary.
Yeah.
He's in the middle of a gunfight. Can I take a message, please? Like, you expect him just to be like smoking a cigarette and slapping her on the ass. Like, she becomes like a 1950s secretary all of a sudden.
Run along, like in Goldfinger. Run along, honey. Man talk.
Right. It exactly becomes that. I mean, and then, so as I remembered it, it was even more so like that. And then watching it again last night, I was like, oh, well, at least they let her kill Cole Meany there at the end. So at least she gets like one win. But besides that, she's probably one of the more pathetic, film heroines that I can think of.
By the way, Cole Meany, never been in a film role where I'm like, you want to punch him in every role he's been in. It's that, Con Air, top 2 biggest asshole roles you've seen him in.
Yeah. No, he's definitely like just a British dick.
Oh, yeah.
Like, he's like the British Rob Hubel.
You can tell he's a soccer hooligan when he's not making films.
Most likely, yeah. But again, a good get for this film. I mean, like
Sure.
those three guys are like, all like pretty serious. I wonder what it's like to be like a guy like Tommy Lee Jones doing a film with Steven Seagal, where like you're a classically trained actor, you've done all this thing, you just like, this fucking lug is the star of this film.
He just kept looking at his paycheck.
Well, I'll also remind you guys of another, and great point, Mo, and this is what's making me dovetail into my next one here about this. If you recall, when they filmed Batman Forever, Tommy Lee Jones hated Jim Carrey so much. He goes, why the fuck are you in this film? You have no business being on a stage with me. You're a silly-ass actor who talks out of his assholes. I'm not going to give you shit. And made his life a living hell. So that's a great pickup by you. I wonder if he did the same disrespectful stance towards Seagal as he did with Jim Carrey. I think Steven Seagal might have a modicum or two more respect because he knows Hapkido and fucking jiu-jitsu and shit and could wreck Tommy Lee Jones in a tenth of a
Also,
second.
I mean, don't forget he tore out a guy's throat at the end of that movie and in many other movies. So, even if you see a guy do that on camera, the old throat snatch, that commands a little respect.
He was also not in many scenes actually with Steven Seagal. It was really only the end where they were together.
That's it.
Yeah. Where they're doing that like weird knife thing.
That strangest knife fight I've ever seen.
Like that's Is it easier to knife fight when you hold it like this? I don't see how this could be easier. But anytime Seagal's in a knife fight, he's like, "Oh wait, hold on, now you're fucked." I mean, that's no way that's easier, right? I don't know. I mean, I'm not a Aikido warrior, but that still seems very fucking awkward.
That's what should be in your podcast. Say it again. Jews take over the media. Did I get it right?
No, it's called Jews Control the Media.
Jews control the media.
Jews control the media. We pretty much just, we do what we do. We just control the media, which you guys are welcome for, by the way, non-Jews. And, we go into like different Jew-related issues, both good and bad, and also just sort of general stuff and Jew it up.
I'm a Jew.
A lot of bagels. Yeah, I could tell.
I got it. That's
your last name's Israel, right? I mean, that's not.
I at least once a week somebody asks me, "Are you Jewish?" Like that would be the worst irony in the world.
Yeah, you're like, actually, I hate Jews. My life is a nightmare.
See the swastika I have tattooed on my hands.
Yeah.
Fucking
really having to overcompensate.
Yeah. Mo, any other points before we move along? Again, long as you want.
There's one thing I wrote down. Seagal's running, the way he runs is just the worst thing you've ever seen in any movie. And there's some compilations online. If you go to Seagal running, it's just incredible because he always like his hands are like too like loose or something like that. So when he runs, there's always like a lot of like movement with his hands. And there's a great moment of that in this movie when he's running over to the helicopter and he just looks like such a fucking idiot with his arms just like raised all over the place. So that, that's like a general Seagal note, but it's fun. Take a look at Seagal running compilations on YouTube. It will blow your mind. Like I don't understand how directors weren't like, whoa, we can't use that in the film. It's just so utterly unathletic and ridiculous.
He and Napoleon Dynamite's running style annoy the fuck out of me. I said before in our Napoleon Dynamite episode, they both look like I've seen heroin addicts run with more grace than either of those two.
It's almost confusing when you watch Seagal run. It's almost like, how could this be actually how you do that? I don't know. It's very weird.
If you're a fan like I am, you've watched that show he did, I don't know, about 10 years ago called Lawman, where he's a morbidly obese New Orleans cop, and it takes him a good minute 45 just to get out of a cop car, while they have two other guys chase the cops, the perp down, put their knee on their back, and then wait for Seagal to huff and puff his fat ass on over, and then the perp go, "Hey man, you're Steven Seagal," and Seagal's like, "I am, and you're under arrest."
Seagal, I have one tiny little personal connection to Seagal. I grew up in a very tiny town, like maybe about 700 people. We would have like a big rodeo every year, and somehow Steven Seagal came to that rodeo one time. I guess he was like training like sheriff dogs the town over. He was doing some weird shit like that. So he actually did come to the rodeo And he was a pretty fat motherfucker. I remember even as a kid just being like, dude, he looks like he is fucking chunking it up. He does not look like the Seagal from the film.
Well, he can't run. Of course he got fat.
Yeah, that's a good point. Like, there's no way he could run on like a treadmill with that fucking goofy gait.
The goofy gait. I love alliteration. You had me there.
So that's pretty much it. Yeah, those are my main complaints.
Right.
I mean, again, like, as much as I'm talking shit, like, I've seen March for Death a bunch. I've seen all of his movies. So
I have too, ad nauseum.
And I don't know if I'm hate watching them or just like, I guess as a guy who's tried to be an actor myself, it's so irritating to see a guy who's a movie star who can't fucking act at all. Like, just is the worst. And you're like, oh, that guy made it. So maybe a lot of it's my own bitterness and jealousy, because I do like watching his movies, but I shouldn't.
Yeah, well, can you throw a spinning roundhouse kick in your prime, Mo? Maybe then you guys
can he?
Get a
He never threw a spinning.
Yeah.
He could never do that.
He just did like the arm shit. I could
The break in the air. Yeah, you're
arm.
right. That's more Van Damme with like the crescent kicks and shit like that.
Yeah, no, Van Damme's my hero. I mean, Van Damme could do all that shit. I mean,
But
he's
Van
the guy.
Damme, his film, you want to talk about Seagal films versus Van Damme films. My brother and I had this ongoing
Van
debate.
Damme's films are 1,000 times better.
No, they're not. Bloodsport
Yes,
is excellent, and after Bloodsport, it is a precipitous nosedive downward.
I can't even have this conversation.
Well, then,
Kickboxer's phenomenal.
it is. Watch it again. It's not good. Rewatched it on Prime 4 months ago. Not that
You
good.
bleed like My Lee.
Yeah,
My
I like.
Lee
He's
good
remade
fuck.
Bloodsport 3 times and called it different names. Not
The
good.
Quest.
The Quest is awful with Roger Moore. Get the fuck out of here. I'm not going to have this.
I
Seagal,
love Van Damme. I love
Above
Van
the
Damme.
Law is
Universal
good.
Soldier's great. Universal Soldier's great.
good. Hard Target's
Target.
terrible. Street
Hard
Fighter,
Target's not good, but
Hard-
Lionheart's good. I like Lionheart a lot.
good.
Oh, was
Not
Lionheart
great.
when he was like the French?
Yeah,
Yes,
French.
yes.
Yeah.
With the French Legion guy.
Yeah.
Legion. His accent, and it was the little girl from Growing Pains was his niece. Did you know that?
Oh yeah, that's right.
Film was
Yeah.
not good.
Cyborg
Seagal's
was
film-
good.
Oh, that was fucking. I rewatched it for a podcast last Thursday. That film was a fucking woolly mammoth
Which one?
abortion. Cyborg.
That was good.
Oh.
Double Impact was
I don't remember.
great.
Oh, that was so bad.
Double Impact. That was the one where he has sex and the other guy's like feeling it.
Yeah. So
I don't remember
bad.
that, but I
So
do remember liking that one. a lot.
Bad. And another steroided out Bolo Young, although excellent, but that film is terrible. Dude, all you need is listen, Seagal, this Out for Justice alone trump in Van Damme's entire library.
That's just
Entire library.
ridiculous. No, because you have to think about their. I mean, Van Damme, even if you don't like the film, when he's doing that fucking jump kick, when he's going like, oh, like that scream he does, it's awesome. Like, it's just the best.
But then
Seagal,
they-
like, even in his best movies, just like, hey, what are you doing? Yeah, it was the big, tall fucking idiot. Like, he just sort of, it never, Van Damme, you're like, oh, I wish I looked like that. I wish I could move like that. Seagal, you're like, this dude needs to fucking, hit a salad bar.
Yeah, and then Van Damme gets beat up in scores by Chuck Zito. So you tell me how effortless and excellent his martial arts are if he gets beat up by a Hell's Angel.
Well, I mean,
Well,
Hell's
sustained.
Angel. Hell's Angel's a pretty good person to get beat up by. I mean,
Yeah, but if the guy's
get beat up by Bill Gates.
if he's an 18-degree black belt, he should be able to fucking crescent kick him in the nuts. That's ridiculous. Kevin Israel, I believe it is your turn to go first for the notes. So if you
I
please,
appreciate that.
you're welcome.
Well, so first of all, I went into this movie kind of excited. While I questioned whether or not it actually fell within our categories, I deferred to the creator of Gutting the Sacred Cow's decision, and went with it because this was a very big movie in the 90s. I was excited to see it. I think I'd actually seen this whole movie once, and I went into it thinking I had a pretty good grasp on what goes on in this movie, and I realized I had no idea of the plot. I did not, and there is and Mo is 100% right. There's actually a pretty interesting plot. A pissed off CIA agent gets angrier because they try to kill him. So he comes up with this great plot to hijack a ship and sell the missiles off, and because he obviously has the knowledge. They never really explained a lot of background though. They never explained how Tommy Lee Jones and Gary Busey's character ever hooked up. They never explained how that relationship came to be.
That's a
Or
good point, because one
Very
thing
good.
I was noticing just when I rewatched it is at the end, Seagal says to Tommy Lee Jones, he goes, "I know you don't die." And he goes, "It's been a long time. and then they never
That's
mention
it.
that.
Yes.
It's just
Yeah.
like, what?
Tommy Lee Jones' character, and like Mo said, was probably the most interesting, was one hands down the most interesting
Yeah.
character in this movie. And they didn't know what to do with him. And I really think Gary Busey and Tommy Lee Jones got into a room and were like, I can out crazy you. And they just went for it. And Tommy Lee Jones fucking won. He beat Gary Busey in a crazy contest, which is really a testament to Tommy Lee Jones's acting.
I would love to see what the script, just because I think you're 100% right. I bet the script had those characters super stock and boring, and then they were like, look, we're doing this for a payday. What can we do?
Yeah.
You know, how do we make these guys interesting?
Like in the beginning, when Tommy Lee Jones comes on the ship and he's supposed to be a member of the band, it really looks like he just went into like the wardrobe truck and looked around and was like, I'll wear that and give you those glasses.
Right.
Let's go. I got this. Because first of all, my immediate question was, what did Tommy Lee Jones do in the band? It looked like it was a black jazz band or like a blues and funk band. And with this white guy who played the harmonica a couple of times. Like if I was on the helicopter, I would be like, who the fuck are you? And why are you? You don't fit into this.
It did seem like confusing that they have this giant ceremony. They have a playmate and then just like your average dive bar rock band.
Right.
Like, why weren't they like a one-hit wonder, or like, I don't think just like random bands would do that gig,
it wasn't like Bon Jovi came on.
No.
It was right. It was a cover band they brought on. Also, the security on a battleship is clearly terrible. Like, you have this captain who's been in the Navy forever. They approve this helicopter to come in. He lies. Gary Busey lies to everybody and tells everybody a different story, and everybody else is just like, oh, okay. Like, I'm not going to go check with the captain on this or anything. But just buy into it because you said so. And then you find out everybody hates Gary Busey anyway, and the captain knows he's fucking out of his mind, and nobody questions Gary Busey once in this whole cockamamie plan. And it all goes off without obviously until Steven Seagal gets involved. It goes off without a hitch. Like, everything happens perfectly. And Tommy Lee Jones goes 4 minutes ahead of schedule. Yeah, because you're on the Navy ship full of the dumbest sailors in the Navy.
And the only time the crew does like Gary Busey is when he dresses up like a woman. That's the only time one of the guys goes, guess Krill's not such an asshole after all. Like, that won you over? That fucking insane?
He's spitting a guy's soup, but him in drag is okay. He's all right. He's all right. Did anybody, and just to add to how dumb the sailors are on this ship, would anybody in the world think that Steven Seagal is just a cook? Like, looking at him, would you go, oh yeah, that guy, he's just been a cook all his life. That makes total sense. Like you said, he's dressed in black. He looks like he's an assassin. The captain keeps deferring to him and even tells Busey, like, I can't even explain it to you. Don't question him. And everybody's just like, oh yeah, he's a cook. Sure.
He really likes his fucking bruschetta. You know, that captain really likes his tapenade.
And you got to appreciate how they can cut vegetables at a rapid rate, but not show Seagal in the shot too.
Right.
And how about that just cartoonishly large chef hat that he's wearing?
Well, they got to establish that he's a chef because he wasn't dressed like one.
Wait, wardrobe.
I can't imagine in real Navy ships the guy wears a chef hat like that. There's no fucking way that he dresses like he's at a Michelin 5-star restaurant.
Yeah. Excuse me, wardrobe. I didn't say pussy hat. I said Swedish chef hat. You hear me? Go back and do it again. That's what that was.
And it almost seems like, I don't know if they purposely, I'm sure they do, cast short people around Seagal, but he looks like he's like 6'9" in those scenes in the galley. Like, those are the smallest fucking
They definitely
sous
do
chefs
pick
ever.
shorter people to be around him.
Yeah, he just looks gargantuan.
Gary Busey saying you hit like a faggot really made me realize how much times have changed.
Yeah.
The minute that happened, my wife and I looked at each other and was like, whoop, couldn't say that anymore. That would have not made it past the second read of that script.
He also like hit the shit out of him. Like, his face
and he's
bleeding when he said that.
His face is bleeding from a way you wouldn't bleed from getting punched in the face.
You're like, was that a compliment in 92? I don't really understand.
Action scenes. The action in this movie is terrible. Almost all of this is the most boring action movie I've ever watched. The plot was actually more interesting than the action. And the scenes where people were realizing that Steven Seagal is a badass. The trope of people realizing somebody's actually a badass and not who they thought they were. goes so far into like the 80s action. Like it's so overdone, but I love it every fucking time when they're like, you don't, I mean, and I think it's probably started with Rambo. I feel like First Blood was the first one where they were like, once he was started killing everyone and Colonel Troutman appears and it's like, I trained this man to eat twigs and kill babies. And he's like, and the sheriff is like, oh shit, we really fucked up this time. Like that trope is so overplayed, and yet I eat it up every time where they start going through his record and Busey's like, God damn it, I didn't see this one coming.
I know.
Really?
Well, he couldn't because he said the files were locked up in the captain's safe.
Right, but to my point, if you just talk to the guy, he's clearly not just your average run-of-the-mill like schmo who couldn't do anything.
Right.
Like his dick walks into the room 5 minutes before he does. He's obviously a badass.
And I think he had already killed like 5 guys by the time Gary Busey was like, he's just a chef. It's like, all right, well, he's a fucking really lethal chef at least. You know, let's like put a little bit of little fear into it.
He could finish second in the Iron Chef competition just by glancing at the meat, right? Just turn it and sear it properly.
I did like, speaking of the meat, that was one of the best scenes in the movie. I actually did like it, how they just had like a pot roast on the fucking like radar screen.
And they're just like tearing off chunks of it.
Like,
Also, I thought that was a little
throwing it
racist
like
when
to
he just-
the lions in the den at the zoo.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I thought that was a little racist that he just throws the big jack black guy this like barely cooked meat and the guy just shoves it in his mouth.
Yeah, he definitely went at it like a little too aggressively. Yeah, I did think like I hope that wasn't the director's idea because it does seem a little weird how like he just like rips into it.
Miss July, she is smoking hot.
Absolutely.
It's painful, and I usually don't even like short haircuts, but
Yeah.
she pulled the whole thing off fantastically. Her character was absolutely bonkers crazy. She started off at like Mo said, this super misogynistic dream of a woman who was just crying and needed the help of a man, and then literally in the blink of an eye, she becomes a Navy SEAL. She's suddenly like kicking ass and making decisions and loading up guns, and she's the bad like. And there was no explanation for what turn that was. If you handed me a machine gun and said, listen, we're going to be in a gunfight with a bunch of terrorists, I'd be like, well, I'm going to die and you're probably going to die too because I'm not going to be of any help. She ends up, not only does she survive, she kicks ass and she does kill somebody, which is the whole thing was just bananas to me. Her character was completely ridiculous.
But if you remember, after she killed that guy, like in the next scene, she is just crying. So it's like they're like, but we don't want to just abandon that entirely. Don't. We're still very sexist in our portrayal of this character. She is now weeping.
Gary Busey's death. They make this guy out to be the biggest piece of shit. You really hate him, and they did a good job making you hate him, and Gary did a good job making you hate him. And you really want Steven Seagal to get that moment where he either cuts his head off or shoots him in the face or says something badass like, I'm never serving you again, and then shoots. It's like something. He dies from a missile shot fucking hundreds of yards away, and you don't even see, like, I don't think you even see him go, oh, shit. Like, you never get any satisfaction of his death. And he's one of the main two people. I wanted him to die more than I wanted Tommy Lee Jones to die. Tommy Lee Jones' character was at least interesting and sort of.
He kind of did. He kind of did the Wile E. Coyote, the oh shit, hold the sign up as the missile was coming in when he was looking through the periscope. He kind of gave you that, which I did chuckle. Go exactly why the analogy I gave that.
Did you get?
Right before the big Acme missile comes.
Yeah, exactly.
But I really would have liked. I would have liked Steven Seagal to kill him in person and say something about nobody spits in my soup or like something. Just give us something because you built up this whole tension and animosity and then you kill him from afar. It just felt like it was a cheat.
I think that's fair. The best death in the movie was certainly when he untied like a rope and then a steel beam went down and like went through a dude's chest. That was that was kind of what you wanted to happen to Gary Busey.
Right, exactly. The commando mode. He let off some steam.
Bennett.
Yeah. Like, give us something. Like every movie, that's what you want out of these movies. You want assholes, and then you want assholes to get the shit kicked out of them. That's all these like 80s, 90s action movies were. Yeah, so we covered Tommy Lee Jones acting, but I felt like for as much as Steven Seagal can't act, Tommy Lee Jones was overacting in every scene. Tommy Lee Jones was like, what do I have to do now? You have to be a rock star. Well, I'm going to be a crazy rock star. What about now? You have to be a CIA agent. Well, I'm going to be a crazy CIA agent. And Steven Seagal was just like, correct. Yes, correct. That's good. That's very good. Steven Seagal is the same person in every single movie. And Mo, you hit it on the head.
Beyond that, he's the same person in every single scene of every movie.
Right.
And every line is basically delivered in the exact same way. It's very confusing. Like, it
and his
doesn't matter what's
eyebrows
happening.
never move.
No, no.
People's eyebrows move when they get angry or surprised. His eyebrows stay completely solid the entire time. And you're so right. He's so awkward. I remember in Out for Justice, he was awkward. And what Fire Below or The Fire Beneath?
Fire Down Below.
Oh, I never saw that one. That's a deep cut.
Yeah.
But that movie, I don't know why that movie always sticks out in my head when I think of Seagal, because I think it's one of his weirdest roles where he's like this native. He's this Eskimo,
he's like an environmentalist. Yeah.
But he's also a badass. But he's still wearing black, all black, and he's still awkward, and he has no chemistry with anybody. And you're right, he had no chemistry with Erika Eleniak in this. He had no connection to anybody. He was supposed to have this like really meaningful relationship with the captain, and even when he finds the captain, he's just kind of like puts a jacket over him, and like they get that one moment where you were supposed to see emotion in his face, and there's just none. It's just his face.
He's like that. He's like that Indian in the end of that's crying the tear when you litter on the highway. He has the same emotions as those cigar store Indians do.
And that's why the one scene where he has to get angry is like kind of pivotal to the plot. He shoves Gary Busey before the whole takeover, and so that's why they put him in the freezer. It's totally unwarranted. Like,
Gary Busey spits in his soup, and they just sort of like, "Hey, man, God!" He just kind of like it doesn't track emotionally. Like, he just sort of,
for some stupid reason, decides to shove him like after the fact that he spit in his soup, and so they're like, "All right, we have to get him in there." But like, yeah, he doesn't. That's what I'm saying. He's like an alien. Like, he really is like if an alien came down and was impersonating a human man.
Completely. And my last point is, why was Miss July at the funeral of a naval captain?
She was
in
on the
naval
boat.
garb.
Yeah, well, she was on the boat. She was on the boat. They're on the boat on the way home. She needed clothes to cover up. I made a note about that.
No, they would have never let her out there. And if she would have been up on the deck somewhere watching. She wouldn't have been lined up with the naval men like she was suddenly in the Navy. Like, I feel like they got to port and she's like, well, what's next, guys? What's our next adventure? Because I'm in the Navy, right? And they're like, no, you're a naked porn star.
Take off your clothes,
but I think this is they're tying up the Steven Seagal is actually gay in this movie arc, because by the end, while he does kiss the woman one time, he does now dress her up as a boy in a male sailor outfit and put her in the lineup of the other dudes. Like, it does seem very an unsexual, very kind of.
And she had the short hair. You're
yeah,
right.
It's a very very gay sort of like, by the end, the final image of the heroine is like dressed as a dude with short hair in a lineup of dudes. You're like, okay, I guess.
The guy's like, now I'm ready.
Now let's fuck.
Yeah. So this movie had Mo was right. The movie had a ton of potential. Looking at the plot, which I was actually surprised there was a plot, Tommy Lee Jones should have been really the focus of the movie, and his backstory and history and whatever connection there was to Seagal's character, but there was none. This was a terrible movie. I think I liked it less than Mo did.
I think you did, actually, yeah, because I was actually annoyed at myself when I was watching this last night. I'm like, fuck.
Well, then I'm happy to cut it, because this was an abomination of a movie that was slow. It was boring. The action was terrible. The characters made no sense. I didn't care about any. The captain got killed, and I was like, whatever. Like, it just didn't care about it. The only one I really cared about was Tommy Lee Jones. And then in the third act, when he goes crazy and starts ranting about Saturday morning cartoons, I was like, well, they fucking ruined him now too.
Yeah, that made absolutely no sense. Like, that, then you're like, oh wait, that's what you were saying when you were pretending to be crazy.
Right.
Now you are crazy. And it's funny that we keep talking about the female character in this, because Under Siege 2, which I've seen many times, Into Dark Territory, there is no female character in that at all. There is no love interest. It's just his niece. And it's just like him protecting his niece. But again, there's just like absolutely no love story or anything.
Does he kiss her with as much passion as he kissed Erika Eleniak? 'Cause-
No, but apparently Katherine Heigl had the same things to say about him as a person as the other ladies had reported. So,
Who were the other ladies? You never told us.
no, he did. I said it was Portia de Rossi, Jenny
that's right,
McCarthy,
that's right.
and
Yeah,
Pam
yeah,
Anderson.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Right.
Kevin, give me a number.
3.
Oof. Mo, give me a number.
6.
My notes, sponsored by, of course, Gutting the Sacred Cow, site where you can go and get shirts like the one I'm wearing right now, guttingthesacredcow.com, and you can get tickets for our live show, For the Love of Christ. Come on there. Come out and see us at the AMC in Clifton, New Jersey, January 23rd. You're going to see us. You're going to see Bill and Joanne from the morning show on Compound Media, and we're going to watch The Karate Kid. That's right. Bill and Joanne hate The Karate Kid. Do we hate it? Do we love it? You'll find out. Come get a ticket and see us live. GuttingTheSacredCow.com. Notes. Seagal's first film without his ponytail is like seeing Kiss play without their makeup on. However, I take them both seriously as musicians. By the way, go Google Steven Seagal's band. It's funnier than The Naked Gun. Promise you.
I've listened to it, and he also did the chief song in Marked for Death with Jimmy fucking Cliff, which is just incredible.
That is hilarious. I had no idea.
It's actually very good.
I love the lingering shot of Erika Eleniak's ass as she gets off the helicopter. Snick, snick. What's that? Oh, just the sounds of the social justice warriors sharpening their knives. Tommy Lee Jones, he's a great villain. Brings humor and levity to the role. You want to laugh at him and be afraid of him at the same time. Well done. Where the fuck did they get all those steel I-beams to offload those missiles? You sure as shit didn't see that steel and the helicopter with the band and the caterers, did you? Where does that appear from?
Fantastic point.
Thank you. I do this every week.
Point.
Thank you.
There was a
Where
little like
did that
Home
come
Depot delivery sub that was just
what
beneath
happened?
the water.
Did the supply ship from Spy Hunter pull up next to it and drop it off?
That is a weird thing about that movie in general, that you have to watch them like just building a ramp.
No.
It should not have been in there.
I already said Erika Eleniak, top 5 frozen VHS moments in my house. I give it a 1,000th of 1% chance that Seagal did not attempt sexual assault on Erika Eleniak. But if you read like I did, guess what? He had a relationship with her after the movie.
Did he really?
He did.
Wow. Good for
Like
him.
not as like plaintiff and defendant, like a romantic relationship.
Yeah, as in I have to pay her for the rest of my life, and my checks are being what's that when they
Non-disclosure
Garnished.
agreement kind of thing.
garnished. Thank you.
Garnished.
There you go.
Wow, good for him, man.
I love how he just happened to pull out safety goggles as he was kind of unwelding the door. Where the fuck did those come from? Again, Home Depot, sure. We'll get a drone to drop some shit off with those steel beams. Had a problem with that. The laundry guy had to ask Miss July how to load a magazine. By the way, that same laundry guy played Ken in the aforementioned Street Fighter movie, which was a piece of shit.
Oh, that's a great call. Yes, he did.
Terrible
He's also like just like a very offensive like skeezy Italian stereotype. He's like,
Just say Italian, Mo. We get it.
I'll stay with the fucking broad.
Yeah.
You know, he tries to like make a.
I'm
move
here on the
it.
GI Bill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bensonhurst in the house. Okay. He has to ask her to load the magazine. I've never been in the armed forces, but isn't that week 2 of basic training, loading fucking weapons? How would she know that? He should be asking her things she will know, like how good or bad of a kisser Scott Baio is, or what casting director she should blow to get to the next level, or how long does David Spade wait to bring up that he's great friends with Chris Rock? I write jokes for these episodes, Mo. I write good
I
jokes.
liked it. I liked it a lot.
I don't know about you two. How the fuck do you I can't believe none of you mentioned this. How do you not want to knee someone right into a saw blade? That's the first thing. That's so cool. That's one of those kills. I'm like, yeah, that's fucking what's up. My choice of people I would love to knee into a saw blade in no order. People who say TGIF, unironically, or use the term hump day. Number 2, the corporate America speak needs to stop now. And I think a circular saw to the clavicle sends the message quite nicely. After voicing her displeasure about guns right on cue, Erika Eleniak somehow becomes a marksman by killing a bad guy that's about to kill Seagal. Suddenly, she became Marcus Luttrell, the sniper from fucking the movie American Sniper.
And do you notice that after she does that, there's just a scene of them strolling on the deck? It's like now all of a sudden they're on like a date, and then
Like they just had a great French bistro for dinner.
It really does seem like very datey and strolling. You're like, no, there's still the whole. You guys got to wrap it up. Like you haven't killed the bad guys yet. It's very weird.
In the final battle with TLJ, Seagal grabs a knife with his teeth, like he's swimming underwater with a knife in his mouth, trying to climb aboard a ship and stealthily wipe out a bunch of bad dudes. But then he puts his thumb in TLJ's eye socket. Such horseshit. I love that they ended the romp this way. This movie is a 2-0 fastball for 90s action films, and it still holds up. It is fun. It is listen, it's not, it has some, but it's not an overabundance of that doesn't happen moments. I like this film. I do. I knew I was like, hey, this is going to be an interesting dance. You're right, Kevin. I had a little bit of trepidation accepting this, but this made a shitload of money. We'll never do another Seagal film. That's why I gave Mo the green light on this one. I give this film a 7 out of 10. I fucking like this film. 7.
Are you crazy?
I like this.
7 seems egregious.
It is, but I told you. Listen, it could be a little nostalgic based, but you know what? I still like it. It's still it's empty calories. I could put it on while I do work in the background. Does it pass the remote test? The remote test, Mo, is whenever you're flipping around on cable and you happen to stumble upon a film. At any point in the film, do you drop the remote? Does this film have it? Well, especially during the Erika Eleniak scene, let's be honest. A few other scenes other than that, I think it does. It's a guilty pleasure. It's watered down Commando. It's watered down Commando. I like it. It's good. I give it a 7 out of 10, and I give Erika Eleniak's tits a 9.5 out of 10.
Wow, solid. I think
I'm going to remember this next time you give a really great movie a 7 and be like, just so you know, this is on par with Under Siege, according to.
All right. I'm gonna say a 6.5 then, just to cover my ass. If I give something else,
no, but I'm with you though. It is like fucking. It is enjoyable. Like that's where I was kind of stuck with it because I was like, it moves, you know. And it.
Listen, I love suspending disbelief, and I love saying that doesn't happen. I love all of that. This movie just didn't bring it together. It was slow and it drags.
I thought
when you finally get the action, it's just like, I don't care. Like there's nothing exciting about it.
It's also it's kind of claustrophobic because it's all in these little like corridors of the ship, which kind of after a while, like it's just not. It needs like it doesn't have like a big chase or any of that kind of like.
Well, you must hate Crimson Tide then.
And you know what?
I actually don't. I don't like submarine movies for that exact reason. It's like it just gets a little repetitive.
Every naval movie I've ever seen has taught me one thing: people are constantly sweating on ships. Go back and watch any naval movie.
Top Gun.
They're always sweating. They're always wet. Everybody looks moist. That's why I know this movie is bullshit. Nobody was sweating at any point. They're all just crisp and clean. That wasn't a Navy ship.
Out of all the unrealistic things about this film, the lack of perspiration was just egregious.
I thought my steel beams would have been the topic. I would have said that doesn't happen, but you one up me, you fuck. How dare you? Critics 5-star reviews. If you see only one Steven Seagal movie, parentheses, and you really don't even need to see one, be sure it's this one. Next one, vintage Seagal, although that's not much of a compliment. The next one, the movie that was almost Die Hard on a cruise ship, bad script and acting made up for by Seagal's butt kicking, and Lee Jones and Busey in full-on hammy villain mode. Yep.
And can we actually just for a second talk about the real Die Hard on a cruise ship, Speed 2, Cruise Control? That is truly one of the most confusingly bad movies I've ever seen. And again, with a very good villain.
I did. And I'll tell you what, are you ready for this?
Dafoe. Yeah.
I saw this no, you kidding me? I saw this in the theater only because my girlfriend at the time, she goes, I want to go see this. I go, Speed 1's classic. We don't need to sully or tarnish our memory of it. She goes, I want to go. And 45 minutes in, I look at her and go, And she goes, and then she starts blowing me in the theater. So that made up for that horrible, horrible film. She goes, I understand, and took care of business.
The pain of having to blow you was somehow less horrible than watching that film. Is the moral of that story?
Yeah, she's like,
who thought Jason Patrick was going to be a superstar when they cast him as like the Keanu of that movie? Like, there's nothing about that guy where you're watching him where you're like, that's an action hero. He should be in a movie. Just like
Mo, how many people I would love to see how many people actually turn that down. The over-under is 29.5.
I think you're right. Yeah, he looked like a guy like if he was managing a Target, you'd be like, he's pretty good looking for a Target middle manager. He's not bad looking for that. But like, he's just not good looking enough or athletic looking enough or cool looking enough to be a fucking movie star.
Well, hold on.
It's very weird.
Keanu Reeves, before he knew he could do the Matrix shit, which he had to be trained for, he was in how many football films, yet he doesn't know how to throw a football.
That's true. I mean, then again, Steven Seagal can't run, and he's supposedly a fucking ninja.
Next one. Die Hard on the Ship. This Steven Seagal star is a hard-charged, perfectly detonated actioner that should especially delight especially macho mainstreamers. It's a lot of especiallys in there. The story, ridiculous and formulaic though it is told with a certain wit and panache. Critics, 1-star reviews. I'm sure the wife or girlfriend, I'm not sure the wife or girlfriend would approve, but for the man of the house, it's above average beer and pretzels material. Under Siege is dumb formula stuff. Sensory jolts by the numbers. And I kid you not, those are the only negative reviews I could find on Under Siege for 1 star. I shit you not. The rest said, quote, not available on Rotten Tomatoes. That's a first.
Wait, you can cut this out, Kev. I found a list of characters who were who were considered in Speed 2.
Oh, God, I want to hear this.
This is staying in the episode now. Are you kidding me? Go.
Simon Baker Denny, who I don't know who that is.
Wow.
John Bon Jovi. Patrick Muldoon.
Jesus.
Jonathan Shaich.
This is the people who turned it down?
What was their budget for the lead role? $45,000?
Christian Slater and Billy Zane.
What? The bad guy from Titanic was too busy?
I can't believe.
Kendra Bullock initially suggested Matthew McConaughey, but he said no.
At that time, what the fuck was Matthew McConaughey even doing?
Time to a Kill, I think, was out by then. Dazed and Confused. That was like, because I was, what was it?
Dazed and Confused was his first.
Yeah, but I think, without even doing the math, I think Speed 2 was like 90, 98, 97, 98.
Ooh, there you go. 97.
They fell.
Oh, I'm so good at this game, which is useless. It pays me nothing in dividends. So
one of the things that's
out there.
I was just gonna say, one of the things with Speed 2 that they got into a problem with, the same way that like the problem with, I think, this movie that we're talking about is that it's just such a claustrophobic kind of, just by the setup that's on a battleship. Speed 2, you can't make it look like a cruise ship is going fast. Right. So every time they would cut to the wide shots of the cruise ship, it was just like, the music would be like, and you're like, it looks like they have all the time in the fucking world. It just somehow doesn't work.
I've seen glaciers move faster than that boat.
97, McConaughey had Contact come out.
He also, listen, and here's your answer. A Time to Kill came out in 1996. You know how you know that? I saw it in the afternoon right before the Yankees Game 5 of the 96 World Series. So that's how I know that answer. Okay, who gives a fuck, Kevin? Nonsense, more nonsense. Amazon 5-star reviews. This movie is a cut above most shoot-'em-up action movies. Good sets, layered drama, extremely watchable. Okay, there was 1 or 2 silly scenes that you would never see in a current film. Gary Busey in a dress? Seriously? Seagal back in the day looked like $1 million and played the highly trained Navy SEAL undercover hero with his usual panache. Second time using that word today, somebody. Tommy Lee Jones really stole every scene with his murderous, insane rogue agent masquerading as a nutty rock star. Next one, I Leoke Steven Seagal movies, and Under Siege is one of my favorite. I have Prime, and I thought that I could watch movies free. However, I had to pay $3.99 to watch it.
There wasn't even a non-HD. Usually on Amazon you get like a $1 off for doing non-HD. This one they're like, nope.
No, you need this in HD.
You want to see this panache? You got to get that HD.
Guess what?
I see Erika Eleniak's tits and it's ID as you can get.
Pixelated. Guess what? Kevin Goatee owns this film. He didn't have to pay shit. This is the first time. This is my first time watching movies on Prime. Will all movies I like have a price tag? Signed, Anderson Cooper. I have seen over the years most of Seagal's films, and I think this is the best one. He's young and fresh and feisty. Delicious to watch. Signed, Jeffrey Dahmer. This film...
That seems that makes sense. That seems like Dahmer's taste. Yeah. I know that's how he feels about cinema. This
film is a blast. I think it holds up, but I am also 39. The best cake feeling I have ever drooled over.
Oh, okay.
Someone's making a very esoteric reference.
Someone's making his own bet.
Am I the only one as a kid watching those? I always thought they came out of real cakes.
So did I.
It's just very disappointing when I found out that they just come out of like a shitty stage prop cake.
You know, I never thought about that before until now. And I was thinking, you know what? He's right, because I couldn't think of any cakes. I would just see her come up with like icing just explodes everywhere. She's got red and white shit all over her face, and the bride and the groom helmet on hers. No, that'd be the best wedding cake surprise ever. Amazon 1-star reviews. Poor acting, weak plot, gratuitous violence. The destroyer gets overtaken by a rock band? Right. And then all these accomplices come out of the woodwork. And how did the submarine get overtaken? Dumb plot. Does this moron actually think the caterers were at a rock band were really caterers at a rock band? Holy shit. I bet this guy also thinks Milli Vanilli sang all their songs.
Also, the submarine didn't get taken over. He just threw a bomb in it.
Yeah. No, and they also not drove, but piloted the submarine to meet it. They didn't take it over, asshole. They were meeting them to get the missiles.
Yeah, this guy, that's too negative. He's not really giving it a chance.
Seagal's imitation of Bruce Willis' Die Hard pales in comparison. I often wondered how Steven Seagal got a break in the movies. He seems possessed with the acting talents of a lawn gnome, and his martial arts skills seem to consist of nothing more of a series of stuntmen performing flips, slips, and pratfalls all around him. Every time he blinks an eye, I would love to see him in actual MA competition. I don't believe he would get very far. He just seems too phony to take seriously, and such his movies suffer. Again, wait till this guy has to watch the show Lawman, where it takes him 2.5 hours to get out of a cop car.
You know, he does make a good point, though. It does seem like Steven Seagal saw Die Hard and was like, I want to be him.
Oh, yeah.
But there were so many of those movies, man. Like, Die Hard just started this trend of, like, you know, it was like that. It was Speed. It was like, there was just like.
Well, that's it. You're exactly right. Because every guy who shopped that movie, ready? Because it's always, when you pitch shows, it's this meets this. This is Die Hard in a boat. This is Die Hard on a bus. This is Die Hard in a plane. You know, Air Force.
Yeah, that was what? That was No, that was Passenger 57. That's Die Hard in a plane.
Or Air Force One, whatever. Or we'll both have the president and Die Hard in a plane. Yes, exactly.
The biggest fuck you to Steven Seagal is that movie Executive Decision.
Yes.
Where they used him in the preview.
Oh, and he
dies in 10
minutes.
10 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah, and
I'm amazed he agreed to do that.
$15 million or whatever the payday was.
As a kid, I was like, you know, your parents, you very rarely get to go to a movie, and like, I was a fucking, maybe this is why I'm bitter about Seagal. Maybe this is all just anger about that movie, but I picked that one to see Seagal in the movie, and he died, and you're like, what the fuck? It's just, I just gotta watch John Leguizamo for the rest of this movie?
Kurt Russell was quite dreamy and delightful, but man, I also plunked my $8 to see Steven Seagal whip ass on a plane.
That was Kurt Russell?
100%. Yep.
Was it star?
Yep.
I kind of forgot that. I do know
that. All in the theater because it's Seagal.
But it was also that really cool thing where the planes went like this. And
in between, wait, that's how they connected? Yeah, that was cool. And then he dies when he got compromised. You're right. Next one. Tommy Lee Jones gets so tiring so fast. His hardline acting approach gets old instantly because in every movie he plays the same character. Yeah, him and JFK in this role as Clay Bertrand, Clay Shaw, same exact role as Under Siege, guys. He's as dimensional, get ready for this one, as a Family Circus cartoon. By the way, Family Circus and Peanuts, the two worst cartoons that grace us.
Oh, eat a dick.
Peanuts, I've laughed harder.
Charles Schultz is a genius.
I laughed harder looking at my fucking credit card bill than fucking
You
Peanuts.
have no soul.
Those specials are terrible. They are for dumb people who only like them because of the music, and that is it. Next.
Agree with the Family Circus for sure. I never understood how that is a thing.
That's for people in the Midwest who laugh at, well, that's what she said, jokes. The waste of time and film it took to make this can only be salvaged in a 10-second scene. Erika Eleniak popping out of the cake. I mean, wow. Talk about a perfect body. Her mammary protuberances were off the chart. Seriously, this woman is perfect. Except for that brief bit of nudity, this film should be burned along with Sylvester Stallone's classic prison movie, Lock Up. Signed by one of the two kids who said MILF, MILF, MILF in American Pie 1. Not John Cho. After seeing this movie, I developed a tumor the size of Seagal's ego. I have had it since removed, and chemo seems to be working. But I must warn you to check your health insurance to see if it covers treatment for Steven Seagal-based cancer of the soul. Guys, you could see him doing a Bucket Mike spot at the Grizzly Pear, 8 o'clock Monday nights here in the West Village. Last
Grizzly Pear, deep cut comedy reference.
You like that? Thank you.
Yeah, I did.
We're in the biz. Last one, and always my favorite. It is Seagal. It is Steven Seagal, and it is the 80s, and that's what it delivers. You could tell this person anything happened in any time frame, and they believe it. Like, buddy, well, you know the Civil War ended in 1969. Sure. JFK killed in 1062, and Columbus made his voyage on 9/11.
Well, I do think it's funny when a lot of those reviews were saying, like, it's the best Steven Seagal movie, because, again, you're like, yeah, it's just a very low bar. I want to get back into this Van Damme thing. A couple of the things that you're wrong about. Van Damme, let's not forget, I know I said Universal Soldier, but also he did Time Cop, which was fucking great.
Good.
And in Hell. You remember that?
No, I never heard of that.
In Hell, he goes to prison. You know, he's got he kills the bad guy in a great one. Knockoff was good. Maximum Risk was good. So I don't know. I just think you need to do some soul searching.
Oh, are you going to try and say Sudden Death, where he's on the hockey player too in the Pittsburgh?
Stop it. Its moments.
No.
Maximum
Risk with Natasha Henstridge. I saw that in the theater because after seeing Species, I was a changed man.
She was
fantastic. Van Damme never fails.
I'll take Out for Justice. I'll take this. Above the Law, even with an elderly, she's not that old, Pam Grier, and Above the Law. And Hard to Kill, one of the best lines ever. You could take that to the bank, Senator Trent. The blood bank. His lines are so
creepy. The blood bank.
I love how he's been dormant for 8 years in a coma and suddenly has the arm strength to even use a broom to pedal his ass out on a hospital bed outside. And it's gloriously bad, but also good. Kevin Israel, did Mo Mandel gut the sacred cow?
I don't think he did.
No,
but I think I did.
Yeah, you definitely outgutted it for me. I got to say,
thumbs down on that gutting.
This movie is you know what? To quote Kevin Goatee, this movie is an abortion. But no, I think Mo even talked himself out of the gutting.
I tell you, like, I know we were going back and forth online, like, trying to pick a movie, and I could not think of a movie that I love or that I hate that everybody loves. I guess I'm a sheep. I was like going through so many beloved movies, like, yeah, I kind of like that one too, you know?
We've had a few of those. Don't feel too bad.
And speaking of Mo Mandel, where can we find you? And what are you
So I
to?
have a podcast, 2 podcasts. One is called Jews Control the Media. It's about all things Jewish and just about media, and an over-the-top, funny podcast. I do another Jewish comedian called Jake Silberman. Also, I do a podcast with my wife, who is a bona fide dick surgeon, and it's called The Full Release, and it's like a love line. She's a doctor of sexual medicine, and I am not, and we just sort of like take sex questions and interview different people, and It's good. It's really fun.
I have a question. Your wife, I'm sure, gets all the shittiest, hackiest lines dropped to her on a daily basis. What's the one that she told you that legit made you LOL?
One old guy drew a smiley face on the head of his dick. And so when he pulled it out, that was pretty funny to me. She didn't find it funny at all, by the way. But I thought it was pretty hilarious. Yeah.
Good. I bet you
also. You know what? That's fascinating. I always wonder what makes doctors pick certain like foot doc. Like what guy woke up and was like, you know what? I just want to look at gross feet all day.
The funny thing is now, like since she's a urologist, so it's like I have a friend who just got a vasectomy and like it kind of didn't go well, and he sent me a picture of his balls. He's like, "Can you show this to Ashley and see what she thinks about it?" Is this? I'm like, "No, dude, I'm not going to do that."
Kevin Israel, where can we find you besides not getting your dick snipped?
KevinIsrael.com. My album, The Struggle Is Real, is on iTunes and everywhere.
I was going to say KevinGoatee.com, and more importantly, GuttingTheSacredCow.com. And our show, January 23rd, GuttingTheSacredCow.com. Every day has your articles, your list of 10 that we do, and so on and so forth. Check it out for some nice bathroom reading. Why not get paid to read our articles while you work and poop at the same time? That's our motto. And, of course, get a cool shirt, bag, hat, GuttingTheSacredCow.com, GTSC podcast. And that's that. Mo Mandel, this has been a hell of a discussion. I thoroughly enjoyed having you on.
Thank you, guys. I really appreciate you letting me come on. This is the first time I think in my career and in my personal life I've failed to be negative enough. That is, my stand-up special on Amazon is literally called Negative Reinforcement, and here I am being like, I kind of liked it. So the first time for everything, I guess.
Glad that we could be the first. Kevin Goatee, Kevin Israel, Mo Mandel. We'll see you next time, guys. Take care.